Welcome back. You've heard the phrase, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that particular event. Well, there's a new book out that gives you many of those moments in the tumultuous 2024 presidential race. Uncharted, how Trump beat Biden, Harris, and the odds in the wildest campaign in history, does exactly that. Its author, Chris Whipple, joins me now from New York. Chris, my only regret is I'm not there in New York side by side so we could have this conversation together. But congratulations on the book. I always ask reporters who write books like this, what's your favorite nugget? What's the thing you're proudest of that readers can find in your book?
Thanks, Major. Great to be with you. I mean, we all know that this was the wildest campaign in history. We lived through it. But I'm telling you, behind closed doors, it was even stranger and wilder. And I guess if I had to choose one thing, it might be Ron Klain's minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour description of the pre-debate prep that he conducted at Camp David. Klain, of course, was Biden's first White House chief of staff. He told me in devastating detail just how out of it Joe Biden was. He didn't know really what his second-term plans were. He couldn't follow the back and forth with the Trump campaign. At one point, he wanders out, sinks into a lounge chair by the pool, and falls sound asleep. And yet, Ron Klain, who presided over that pre-debate prep and obviously knew that they were in trouble. 3 weeks, fast forward to 3 weeks later, he's fighting an 11th hour last-ditch campaign of his own privately to keep Joe Biden on the ticket. It's stunning, the extent of the delusion and denial that existed among Joe Biden's inner circle.
And Chris, you have a great detail about that pre-debate prep, and I want to read part of the book that encapsulates that. And Control Room, this is a switcheroo, so go to the second graphic, not the first one. But it reads, quote, Biden, who still felt ill, had an idea. If he looked perplexed when Trump talked, voters would understand that Trump was an idiot. Klain replied, sir, when you look perplexed, people just think you're perplexed. And this is our problem in this race. Hello?
It was stunning. It was stunning. And Major, you know, this went on. I mean, I have the behind-the-scenes details of the debate itself and that moment, 12 minutes in, when Joe Biden is asked a completely unrelated question. He freezes, looks lost, and says, we finally beat Medicare. We all remember that. In that moment, Trump's team knew they thought he was out. He was gone. Biden's team still believed he was in it to win it. Anita Dunn, to give you an example, one of the senior advisors was watching a so-called dial group, a focus group of undecided voters turning their dials up or down in reaction. And toward the end of the debate, when Trump was saying what Trump always says, lots of outrageous stuff, the dials were pointed down. She convinced herself that they'd come out ahead in the debate. It's just really stunning.
I want to read something, and Control Room, this is graphic one. It's from page 203. Not to let everyone know I read to the end of the book, though I did, but it's from Leon Panetta, an important voice, not only with tremendous experience, the highest levels of the American government, but he's very savvy politically. I want to read from this. I think this is really important. Quote, this is without question the Trump era, Leon Panetta said. And it's the Trump era for reasons that are very real out there in the country. And we have got to spend some time really trying to understand the chemistry that produced this era. And where was the leadership that failed to deal with what was happening in the country? Because we now bear the fruit of that failed leadership. Chris?
Yeah, you know, I mean, he said it was a failure of leadership all the way across the Democratic Party, but it really began within that inner circle of the Biden aides, and that means Steve Ricchetti, Mike Donilon, Anita Dunn, Ron Klain as well.
Joe Biden?
And Joe Biden, of course. And it's stunning to me that, you know, everybody knew Joe Biden was too old to run in 2024, much less govern effectively at the age of 86. And yet, not once did any of them take Joe Biden aside and sit him down and say, are you sure, boss? Are you sure you're up to this?
From your reporting and your deep experience, Chris, if you were to be asked the question, which I'm going to ask you right now, was this race ever winnable for Kamala Harris? How would you come down on that?
I believe it was. I'm not one of those people who say that the tide, the anti-incumbent tide, was irresistible or impossible. I think you have to assume it was. And I think that it was a tall order. Kamala Harris had to somehow be the change candidate in a change election as the sitting vice president. But that moment on The View was just devastating. When she was asked that question, she was prepared for it, and she couldn't answer it. She simply said, I can't think of a single thing. And within hours, that became a devastating Trump campaign ad against her. Game over, I think.
And yet, as you report extensively in the book, the Trump inner circle, disciplined, never wavered in its confidence that it would prevail, whether it was Biden or Harris.
Yeah, they never doubted it. I spoke to Susie Wiles. I really was able to get to everybody in the inner circle of all three campaigns, Biden, Harris, and Trump. Susie Wiles said to me in unbelievably candid moment, we couldn't believe how bad she was. And I think what she was talking about was when she came out of the convention, Harris did. She'd been strong up to that point, but then she went kind of radio silent. Wiles thought they were doing with Harris what the Biden campaign had done with Biden in 2020, namely hide him in the basement. That this was because they didn't think she was up to it. And to Susie Wiles, that answer on The View was Exhibit A.
1 minute left, Chris. Barack Obama, how does he factor in this?
Well, look, the story is Shakespearean. I mean, full of betrayals and intrigue and backstabbing and, of course, ending in a tragedy. And for Joe Biden, the ultimate betrayal, I think, was his feeling toward Barack Obama. They'd had a close relationship. His best friend told me that the thing that bothered Joe Biden more than anything was that Barack Obama never picked up the phone in those final days and said, geez, are you sure you're up to this, Joe?
Chris Whipple, what I can say most is well done and congratulations. Thanks for being with me.
Thanks, Major. Great to be with you.